Good evening to you and welcome to Weekly News, African Weekly News Analysis on your voice radio. It is time to know what is happening around Africa, particularly the beacon of Africa, Ghana. We will be talking much about the Ghanaian political dispensation and topics that are making round in the country. Stay tuned to your voice radio with the Weekly News Analysis. I will be back. Stay tuned and do not go away. As you can hear, we will be taking off slowly with the news making round. Topical social issues making round in Ghana as far as multi-party democracy is concerned. Ghanaians are well versed into politics, but how far have they gone? And what are they doing to consolidate the young democracy we've got in Ghana? Woyome succumbs and will appear before Public Account Committee. Now let's take off and kickstart our weekly analysis on the Voice Radio, beaming through all the social networks. Kindly inform your friend to be friends with me so that we can contribute and make Ghana a better place for the future generation. Let's take off. Two days after Public Account Committee PAC decided to write to the Inspector General of Police to produce Mr. Alfred Agbesi Woyome before it, the businessman has expressed his willingness to do so on his own accord. According to his lawyers, Mr. Woyome would, however, not be willing to divulge information that would be prejudicial to the same subject matter currently pending before the Financial Division of the Fast Track High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Reacting to a decision by the chairman of the PAC to the Inspector General of Police to arrest Mr. Woyome for failing to appear before the PAC on Thursday to answer questions on the 5.2 million Ghana cedi judgment debt, one of the lawyers for Woyome, Mr. Musa Ahmed, explained that the defense team was not seeking to undermine the dignity and the authority of Public Account Committee as enshrined in the Constitution. He said, "We are, however, willing to appear to lay grounds for postponement." Mr. Ahmed said Wyome's legal team fundamentally believed that once the issue were pending before the Supreme Court in the country, it is our considered opinion that the committee will be doing justice to our client by deferring the invitation to our client for purposes of him giving evidence before the committee in respect of pending matters currently before the court. He, however, said, honestly, doubt if the committee can produce proceed to ask our client questions without delivering into the issues before the Supreme Court. He said under the circumstance, the interest of justice will be better served if the committee agrees with us by adjourning its proceedings until the final determination of the subject matter by the court. Mr. Woyome was summoned to appear before the PAC on August 23 but failed to do so. Yes, let's look at this issue and discuss it dispassionately. Public Account Committee is a select committee in Parliament, and the select committee was built on the issues with a constitutional issue, which makes it a high-powered commission or committee in Parliament that can subpoena somebody to appear before it, and it has powers like a Supreme Court, that if it summons somebody to appear before him and the person did not come, it is a contempt, and for that matter, it should be treated as such. But the panel, or the growing concern about Ghanaians of undermining such constitutional bodies or panels formed based on the constitutional issues in our country, is now growing day in, day out, because people fail to do so, not on merit, but however, the empaneled of those constitutional bodies are almost all the time in contempt. And what they think is that sometimes if you appear before it, nothing good comes out of it. But we can see, when you look at advanced world like this, let's give critical example of the hacking scandal that went on, or that took place in England some time ago with regards to News International. The son, Rupert Murdoch, and his son, James Murdoch, the chairman and the chief executive of News International UK, appeared before a select committee, the Cultural Committee of Parliament in England, a committee and panel based on constitution, a parliamentary committee based on constitution, which is working in the interest of the public in England. Therefore, the committee has no political color, and an alleged perpetrator or somebody who has contravened the rules and regulations of the land appears before it, dispassionately, this committee will make sure that they get answers to it before a committee will be formed. After the commission of inquiry in Parliament, the committee in the Cultural Select Committee in Parliament grilled Rupert Murdoch and his empire, his son, associate. Then a committee was formed, Judicial Committee, chaired by a Supreme Court judge or Justice Livingston, chaired the committee. They took it further and asked questions, broader questions were asked to ascertain the fact, and a solution or prosecution based on the fact finding of the committee will be proceeded in court. In relations to issues happening in Ghana or in Africa, we don't see things like this. Everything that is done based on political expediency and to gratify section of Ghanaians that, oh yes, we want to do this because it's highly likely that if you don't do it, you'll be called by other people that, look at this, because this man comes from this corner, therefore justice wasn't done. But how can we do justice without making the justice body, the body that is meant supposedly to have dispensed justice, be fair and paneled? This Mr. Woyome issue is in court, and a court of competent jurisdiction which is a different entity altogether. What inquiry do we need more to ascertain an alleged criminality case against a citizen defending itself against a state? If we want Alfred Woyome to go before a committee, public account committee, that should have been done first to ascertain the fact that some form of financial malfeasance went through the dealings of Mr. Alfred Agbesi Woyome and the state, so that we will know that whether the Attorney General, the civil servants, Mr. Woyome, and the lawyers, together with the company that was formed, the case that went through court, whether it was right or wrong, the money that was given to him, the genesis of the entire shenanigan or saga was right or wrong, then based on that, we could have gone to court, drag Woyome to court, and the accomplice, those who were in charge or those who were part of it, to court to get justice to be dispensed. Haven't we done that, and the case is still in court? I think Woyome being called upon by another judicial committee, a committee formed based on our constitution in parliament, calling Woyome, is neither here nor there. Wake up, Ghana, and let's do right thing for our motherland, Ghana. Now, on the other hand, national chairman of the New Patriotic Party, the NPP, has told delegates of the party that regardless of the disunity and massive corruption which has been characterized the NDC administration, the party would still not be easy for the NPP to beat in the December elections. Jake Otanka Obechebi Lamte was emphatic that the National Democratic Congress will be the only stumbling block that could curtail the aspiration of the NPP, and therefore urged party faithful to adopt the all-hands-on-deck approach to execute party's agenda. Chairman Obechebi Lamte said this when he addressed delegates of the party at the Dome of the Accra International Conference Center on Saturday in Accra, where the party officially launched its 2012 manifesto. Therefore is hope for Ghana was the theme for the conference. Executive and sympathizers of the party are expected to converge at Manche Agbona, Jamestown in Accra later in the day to formally launch its campaign for the elections. He further advised supporters to eschew complacency and unnecessary attack from political opponents and concentrate on disseminating the efficient policies the party tend to implement if elected into office in December. The security of Ghana's future, their children and their children's children, depends on the NPP winning the election and transforming the nation. So it is important that we desist from all manners of complacency and work tirelessly to salvage Ghanaians from its hopelessness, Mr. Obechebi Lamte asserted. Consequently, the chairman called on electorate not to renew the mandate of the National Democratic Congress and vote massively for the NPP to restore hope for the suffering masses. The chairman of the New Patriotic Party has said that MDC is a force to reckon with, in spite of all allegations of corruption and massive division within the camps of the NDC. He made this known to the delegates and executive members of the New Patriotic Party at the Dome of Accra International Center when the party officially launched its manifesto 2012. The launching of a manifesto of a political party calls for a general consensus building within the political party, the ranks and file of the political party, to explain to Ghanaians the policy of the party, what the party could do if it's elected into office. This has brought about the chairman saying that, look, in as much as there is problem within the NDC and alleged corruption within the NDC administration, yet it will not be easy for the party to lose power. Therefore, we need to work very hard. My analysis here is, there are two political parties of a similar ideological contentions, but with different definition to their ideological contention. Anybody that tells me that NDC is a social democrat, I laugh over it and I said no. The policies, the programs and policies of the National Democratic Congress is not social democrat. They are not social democrat. NDC is a liberal, they are libertarians. Or what I'll say is they are capitalist-oriented party. The egalitarian liberalism that was said by the NDC when they were campaigning in 2008 was not understood. They did not understand the egalitarianism of the policy that they clearly defined to Ghanaians. And for that matter, they are not doing that. Neither is MPP understanding its own policy of free-for-all educational policy. If NDC is saying that it is a property-owning, democratic-oriented political party, then the free-for-all secondary senior high school education program that they want to implement has also been misconstrued, and they haven't understood it yet. So these two political parties should explain clearly to Ghanaians that, look, this is the ideological contention of this party A, or this is the ideological contention of party B. When we say egalitarian liberalism, what we mean is the national cake shall be shared equally amongst the people of the country. When I say equally, not an individual citizen, but when we look at infrastructural development, when we look at infrastructural development such as roads, electricity, water, energy, will be shared amongst the regions. When we talk about education, education will go everywhere in the corner of the country, and people will be able to have what they are supposed to get as a citizens of a country. Let's look at this. Did the NDC do this to the people of Ghana? Have they done it? Yet to know. Health issue, water, electricity, roads, telecommunication, employment. How far have we gone? Have we increased these 5 fundamental things that I've made mention of? If yes, then the NDC has gone with its egalitarian liberalism. Now, MPP is trumpeting on free senior secondary education. Free is free. So how are they going to implement this policy of free educational program for the secondary or second cycle institutions? Have we found out how much it is going to cost per year per a student of a secondary school? And where are we getting the funding from? Is it the same old thing of borrowing from the so-called international community or the development partners to come and fund our educational system, whereas their educational system is not free? Is that what we are going to do? If yes, then how long are we going to sustain our educational system? And wouldn't it be prudent for us to redefine our educational system, our curricula, to make our graduates employable to the international community so that we can have employment generated in the country whereby people are employed, and for that matter they can pay for their school fees, for their health, for their food, for the consumption of energy, and generate capital for the state. And if NPP is to go the way or the free-for-all education, is it not contravening the understanding of the capital-oriented political stand that the NPP is on? This is a question for you to also analyze. Now, we will be taking our next topic as said by one man, or said by Mr. Amoaben, that Ghana has failed. Stay tuned. Prince Kofi Amoaben, Chief Executive Officer of UT Bank, says Ghana has failed in spite of the recognition of the country as an emerging economy. He said, "Truly, from what I have seen in the last 50 years, I can truly say that Ghana is a failing state. Businesses are not being helped to flourish because of the lack of structure and infrastructural development." He explained that Ghana's economy has not been in the best shape in the last 50 years. And the businesses which are the backbone of any successful economy continuing to be killed by those who have been at the helms over the years. Mr. Amoaben disclosed this while speaking on the topic challenges facing private sector businesses in Ghana at a forum held to celebrate the first anniversary of the Finder, a private newspaper set by the former managing director of Graphic Communications Limited. He noted that Ghana has not been able to realize its development potential because there is too much corruption and indiscipline in every sector, particularly the public sector. Because of structural breakdown, Ghanaians do not feel accountable to anyone, and corruption has taken over every aspect of our economy. He said, in spite of Ghana's touted democratic credentials, the type of structures and systems that would make Ghana an economic success had not been delivered. The UT Bank boss called for political steps to be taken in order to create the enabling environment for business to thrive. Mohammed Awar, Chief Executive Officer of Marble Communications Group, publishers of The Finder, The Weekend Finder, and Finder Sports, said their anniversary topic, strengthening state institutions for private sector development, was chosen to highlight the need for the state to play an active role in developing the private sector. The state must collaborate with private sector to encourage development, he said, adding that the Finder was developed to complement journalism in national development, and they were committed to producing credible, balanced and developed-oriented stories. He announced that the company will next year come out with 8 business paper and an electronic media house. Peter Jones, the British High Commission to Ghana, said Africa private sector had generated an estimated 70% of continent's output, approximately 2/3 of its investment, and 90% of employment on the continent. He added that based on these statistics offered by the African Union, the creation and development of private sector is seen as one of the most effective and sustainable strategies for alleviating poverty in Africa. He said Africa could reduce dependence on foreign aid if private sector becomes dynamic. Mr. Jones noted that that challenges facing Ghana's private sector, such as high cost of utility, lack of access to information on external market, and inadequate physical infrastructure, could be tackled if the sector is given the needed attention. This is a widely spoken area, and it's my favorite topic to be discussed today on Weekly African News Analysis. From Mr. Prince Amwaben, what he has said so far, I couldn't have said better than what he has said, because from the past 50 years, we've seen a country retrogressing from all walks of institution, talking about human resources, talking about finance and economy, cultural, everything in Ghana is retrogressing. Before independence, Ghana had 66 qualified lawyers. In England, they qualified. They were trained by the British Law Society, and Ghana was recognized as one of the most intellectual or intelligent country in the world. Now what we see, political mediocrity, insult, abuse of power, corruption is on its high level in the country. Now he talks about businesses not thriving in the country because of indiscipline, corruption within all the society in the country. Businesses thrive on laws, protection of business right, protection of individual right, protection of property right, and this can be argued and adjudication will be dispensed in our court of competent jurisdiction or any court in the country. Let's ask ourselves, the judicial service has been at the bashing of the public since the last 20 years. Chief Justices have clearly stated that the judicial service is corrupt. Any country with a corrupt judicial service do not encourage private entities to grow, inasmuch as the government investment in private sector is so low. If laws in the country are properly made and could be enforced properly and be seen as doing so in the country, I tell you what, if the government investment is not enough in the private sector would grow by itself, because they know that litigations or settlement could be done in court properly. He made mention of corruption. Yes, of course, corruption is strife in Ghana. For instance, if you are an exporter or an importer, anything that you are bringing in the country, it takes you so long a time, waste of human resources and financial resources to clear even your things from harbor. Assuming you want to build a factory or a company in Ghana which demands machinery, the laws that has been stated in the country that you may even get tax concession, ask yourself if it's being given to the indigents who wants to make Ghana create its own employable base or create its own employment base. Do they even have it? These are some of the things that we have to consider critically in our country before we make decisions of even voting or electing people to represent us in political administration. To talk more on what the British High Commissioner in Ghana said, Mr. Jones, he said that Africa, over 70% of the statistics given to the British High Commission in Ghana is saying that over 70% of the African population are employed through the private sector. Yes, it could be so. But let's ask ourselves, who are the private sectors? Who are the people in the private sector? The people in the private sector are the corrupt politicians who have amassed wealth of the citizenry, who have stolen from the citizenry to build their own empires in the country. And for that matter, is based on political alienations and based on political interest. If you disagree with a political party in Africa, especially in Ghana, your business will collapse. They will collapse the business for you. And they haven't made enough infrastructure that will attract foreign investors. For instance, electricity. When a country doesn't have constant electricity, no investor would want to invest his money into that country. Talk less of human resources and telecommunication. These are issues that we must analyze critically. Well, folks, this is how I end this weekly African news analysis. Stay tuned and do not go away. Catch me same time next week on your favorite program, Voice Radio.